Welcome, everyone, and thanks for joining us for this Tech Talk, where we take a closer look at multi-cloud connectivity in action. I'm Ed Baichtal in the technical marketing team here at Equinix, and today we're going to walk through a real-world story that shows what hybrid multi-cloud networking looks like when the stakes are high and the architecture has to scale. I'm joined by Ted Kawka, one of our seasoned experts who has been with Equinix for 10 years. Welcome, Ted.
Thanks, Ed. My name is Ted Kawka, and I'm part of the global principal team here at Equinix. I'm excited to walk through this customer story with you.
All right. So before we jump into the architecture, let's ground this in a real-world customer scenario. Ted, can you start by giving us some background on this customer? What was their environment like? And how did you guys arrive at the solution for them?
Absolutely, Ed. We're talking about a global company and a leader in their industry. They've been a longtime colocation customer with Equinix, running 2 physical racks in Chicago and another 2 in the Ashburn, Washington, D.C. area. And all this is deployed across separate Equinix data centers for high availability. They've also been on a cloud-first journey for several years now, and almost 95% of their workloads were in AWS at the start of this engagement, with the main exception being their physical points of presence with Equinix and SAP, which was still hosted in their on-premise data center in the southern United States.
Oh, got it. Well, thanks, Ted. So that gives us everyone here like a solid baseline. So what challenge or inflection point pushed the customer to rethink their architecture and engage more deeply with how they could optimize their multi-cloud connectivity?
They were preparing for a major transformation across their global environment. They were consolidating, modernizing, and scaling. But there were several constraints that stood out. They needed several cloud providers in their architecture. They had unpredictable latency, and there were limits on the flexibility that they had with the remaining on-premise systems. They also had complex dependencies around SAP and the data flows between their clouds and these on-premise systems. So this triggered some deeper architectural work with us.
Okay, that's great context. So let's step through the journey with the customer. How did you and the team approach simplifying the customer's connectivity model while increasing resilience?
So we started by assessing how their AWS and GCP connectivity, their physical points of presence, and their SAP workloads interacted. From there, the goal was to build consistent, low latency routing to the clouds and reduce dependency on the public internet VPN behavior, which was leading to jitter, inconsistent performance, and operational friction.
Okay, so with looking at the lack of reliability from running traffic across the internet, what were the key architectural components put in place as the solution evolved?
Yeah, so the customer leveraged Equinix Fabric to expand their private interconnection footprint. They were going to AWS and Google, and they needed high-speed multi-cloud connectivity, specifically high-speed private cloud-to-cloud routing. They also needed a solution that was going to be cloud adjacent to keep their latency down and to reduce the latency with their physical equipment outside of the clouds. They're going to need support in 3 regions across the globe, and that's where the Equinix Fabric Layer 2 offering for DCI, which is stands for Data Center Interconnect. It's like a WAN that exists between our data centers, and we identified that to support them.
Oh, okay, I see. So what did Equinix Fabric's DCI offering provide for them that just using VPN over public internet wouldn't do?
Right, so they liked the ease of the public internet and the OpEx model, and they had also grown accustomed to the flexibility of these cloud-based solutions. But they were concerned about consistent performance and unpredictable pricing. The Fabric offering solved those issues. And then as part of the solution, we started with a Fabric Cloud Router to simplify connecting to multiple cloud providers at once. This helped them to unlock a fully global architecture that could scale.
Okay, so I understand now why they wanted Equinix Fabric for the connectivity. But when it comes to adding routing capabilities, we do offer a few options to go with. What made them go with Fabric Cloud Router instead of some other multi-cloud solution?
Yes, so when the customer started the conversation with us, they discussed the need for 10 gig circuits to the clouds. But as we continued these conversations, they mentioned potentially going to 25 gig or even 50 gig for Google Cloud, which is supported today on Equinix Fabric and with Fabric Cloud Router. Fabric Cloud Router is also inherently redundant, and since it's a fully distributed service, they wouldn't need a secondary Fabric Cloud Router for their high availability needs. Also, Fabric Cloud Router is really great at fast BGP routing with just a minimal configuration. Besides Fabric Cloud Router, continuing on with the rest of the solution here for DCI, we chose the Layer 3 IP WAN, which is a multi-point routing solution, and that allows these Fabric Cloud routers to easily connect with each other across the Equinix backbone. They can inspect that traffic locally with their firewalls in their physical racks without needing to install additional firewalls in the clouds.
Okay, so now Fabric Cloud routers had been chosen for the 3 regions and supporting larger bandwidth circuits to the clouds. IP WAN is going to be used for stitching together the Fabric Cloud routers across the global Equinix Fabric backbone. What was the next part of the solution you had to tackle?
Well, at this point, this had all been discussions and whiteboarding this solution with the customer. So we've been summarizing all these various meetings to hash out the solution. The customer took that proposal that we put together, and they told us that they were going to give us a decision in 2 weeks. Well, as the account team was anxiously waiting, they noticed activity in the account. And so the account representative contacted the lead architect there and found out that they had started implementing this Fabric Cloud Router solution themselves.
What? So they didn't even contact the account team again or even reach out with any questions?
No, Fabric Cloud Router doesn't necessarily need someone with a heavy network engineering background to understand and implement it. It's just a few simple checkboxes to click on to get started. And they already knew the information required. They knew what regions and what clouds they were connecting to. They knew how much bandwidth they needed. So they were able to implement the solution themselves, and they had traffic passing between the clouds.
Wow, so that's fantastic. It really says something about the simplicity and speed of our services. But I think I have to hand it to the folks involved with this customer. It sounds like the customer's needs were understood, and this was the right solution for them to implement and continue running their business.
Yeah, absolutely. We wanted their network to behave in the most cloud-like manner possible. And that's what made us decide on the Fabric Cloud Router. Yeah, any customer could get started with Fabric Cloud Router Lab Edition. It's great for a proof of concept or for creating a sandbox environment. They can start quickly testing with the Lab Edition, and if they want to roll it out into production, they can do an in-place upgrade on the FCR to support higher bandwidth, more routes, and of course, any on-demand Fabric Cloud Router can be updated to a contracted service for long-term workloads, and they can receive discounts on that Fabric Cloud Router.
Cool. Okay, thanks, Ted. So to summarize, we started with the customer's needs for global and cloud connectivity. We explored the architecture challenges and found Fabric Cloud Router to be the right fit for them. We walked through solidifying Fabric Cloud Router to meet their growth needs, and we ended up with the customer implementing it themselves and satisfied with the results. So Ted, thanks again for sharing this journey. It's a great illustration of hybrid multi-cloud networking in action and the standout features of Fabric Cloud Router.
Thanks, Ed. Always happy to dive in.
And thanks to everyone joining us. If you want to explore the architecture behind stories like this, check out our multi-cloud connectivity reference designs and the full Tech Talk series. See you next time.